Good morning, traders. Chris Buss here with Traders Profit Compass with another edition of Before the Bell for Monday, July 18th, 6:36 a.m. as I'm starting the video. Hope all you guys had a nice weekend. And don't forget, run your player at 1.5x. Quick look at futures. A lot of green across the board this morning, which is nice. Bitcoin up 5%, oil up 2%, equities bouncing around between 1 and 1.2%. Nat gas up 2% as well. Not a lot going on the macro front other than we've got earnings really kicking into gear. On the blog side, I've got the calendar for the whole week. So if you want to reference that, look at names that are coming up that you might be interested in. This morning we got Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Schwab, and a few others. After the bell, we've got IBM. But then tomorrow morning, before the bell, we've got Johnson & Johnson, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, and Ally Financial, along with Netflix tomorrow after the bell. It had a really nice move on Friday. So that's going to be an important one to watch in mega cap tech. So let's dive into the charts. SPY on Friday had a really nice day, up 2%. From a technical standpoint, really the most important thing that happened was we recovered the 8 and 20 day exponential moving averages. So that's always going to be a positive. Still got work to do. We've got a well-defined pivot here at 385. We've got the downtrend line coming in, and then we've got 390, which is going to be an important line for us. Why? Because it was a problem here and a problem here and support back here. So getting beyond 390 is going to be a really big milestone. And then right above 390, coming in at 393.70 is the falling 50 EMA. So those are the technical hurdles. The pivot point at 385, 390, which would take out the daily downtrend line, and then 393 and change, and that would get us above, give us a breakout, get us above all this resistance here along this line at 390, and then open up the chart for potential run to backfill this gap and then make another run up to this big resistance line between 410 and 415. Zooming down a little bit, you can see that we left a gap on Monday, or excuse me, left a gap below on Friday due to the gap open, and you can see that we've got a large volume over price bar coming in at 386, where we've got a small gap, and then on up towards 390, 392, where we just talked about that line of resistance. So things are looking a little bit better. I think in the last couple of weeks, the market has done a good job of finding and holding this big support area at 373. I think that's going to be an important level on your chart that you wouldn't want to see price drop below 373. That would open up a move back down to the prior lows. Qs, nice day, 2%. Little different picture here from SPY as we've been discussing. We've already broken out from the downtrend line. We've put in a series of higher lows. We had our low back here. We came up and had a higher low, and then a higher low last week. We're already above the daily downtrend line, so that's a positive. And we're above the 8 and 20 day exponential moving average. Also, I think it's important to note that we're above this high volume over price bar, which would have been resistance last week. So really here, we've got the pivot at 290, but our next real big objective will be taking out the 50 moving average at 297.28. And if that can be accomplished, we can move up our stops and then set our eye on this resistance zone up here, 317.35 up to 322. That would be a sweet little rally if that can happen. Here's just your zoomed in view, series of higher lows. We had these rejections along this line at let's call it 296. That would open this chart up for higher ground if we were to take out these highs. I would not be totally shocked if we went up one last time, got rejected there, came back to make another higher low, and then finally break out. You can see price is beginning to coil along. I could easily put a line across the top, give us a nice ascending triangle, get your coil going, and then make the breakout. I mean, it could happen today, breakout, but be on guard for another rejection and say a pullback into 292, 288 even, and then for a reacceleration. Nice day for IWM, up over 2%. Here too, I think we're above the 8 and 20 day moving average. This line right here at 168 proved to be good support. I would keep that level highlighted in your charts as an important level to hold on any pullback. But you can see the 50-day moving average is coming down at 177.77. So that would be my next objective at that line. And that's going to be pretty important for two reasons. Number one, you've got an intermediate downtrend line coming in right there at about 178. And you can see that when price, if it were to get above 178, it moves into this low volume over price void and could have room to run at least up to 187-ish and possibly all the way up to tag the 200 and this primary downtrend line up near 190, 191. Here I've got that triangle drawn in where we've got this thing coiling in between, getting that breakout above 175 and then 177, 178 to take out this high here, and this support area here would really give this some opportunity to drive higher. Meta had a nice day, had a bad day on Thursday, had dropped down, built a base here at 158, and then right back up to this 165 level. I think on Meta, 165 is your clear pivot, and you've got two gaps really on top of one another. Got a gap from 167.50 up to basically 171, and then we've got the next gap over above that really had caused the problem back in time. So first things first, break above 165, hold it, move into the gap and fill it, possibly get some more consolidation in here above 171, between 171 and 172, and then finally fill this gap and break out. And above 176.50, I think this thing could really move fast. You're moving into an area over on the left hand side. It was a quick drop, not a lot of transactions. So I think that's going to be, if price were to break out here, it could move very quickly up towards 185 and then even up to 200. Apple has been really strong. Nice, well-defined uptrend. Bottom of the trend, top of the trend, bottom, top. We talked about down here, this reach down towards the bottom. Now we're driving towards the top. I think we've all but filled this gap up to 150, 121. We almost got there. I'm showing a high of 150.86, so maybe 40 cents shy. But above 151.50, I think this would have some additional room to run. I want to show you something important on the daily chart. Remember, daily technical events and resistance areas trump 60-minute. The higher the time frame, the more important the signal. And we've got the 200 coming in here at 152. So that may pose some resistance to price. So I wouldn't get all panicky at that level. And if I wasn't in, say we gap up this morning and you really can't get a good entry, I would focus your attention on 152, because if price can get above the 200 line, it will have recaptured all its moving averages. You can see that there's a void in the chart right above the 200 that if price can take it out, I think you can get a run up to 158 along this line of resistance there. So if you're not in, or even if you are in, just be aware of where that 200 comes into play. Tesla took the day off on Friday, but what it did do is consolidate right under 720. And with everything being green this morning, if this can break out above 720, I see a move up to 735 at the top of the value range, and then back up towards 745 and potentially, today, tomorrow, Wednesday, fill this gap if everything still is aligned for the bulls. Microsoft came really hard out of the gate on Friday, then kind of had a junky close. It backed off a lot, came back into this high volume over price bar. I think 256 is your pivot. I think you can be long above that. If you look at the structure, this looks like an impulsive move and a little bear flag, or excuse me, a little bull flag, and starting to make another run now. So 256 is your pivot. I would be looking overhead at resistance towards 259 and then right on up the road. You can see above 259, 260, another void in the charts. that could see 264, something like that. Amazon had the gap higher, came right into 115, could not take it out, and was rejected. I think if you can get long against 112.50, I think that's a nice entry. Keep in mind this gap below. I wouldn't put it beyond the realm of possibility that they might make a quick run down here. If you got something around 110.50, that would be a good entry as well. But above 112.50, I think you can see 115 again, and then above 115, back up to this prior high and this high at 117. And I've given you an approximate location of the 50 EMA off the daily chart. Remember, or check it. It will have moved slightly over the last couple days. Just know that there's some potential overhead resistance in this 118 type area for Amazon. Now, on Google, there was a split on Friday, so my chart has not adjusted to that yet. As soon as the market opens, all this is going to recalibrate to the new prices. But just going off this chart, you can see that you've got a little base here at 22.20. I think you can be long against that and then look for moves to 22.50 and then 22.80 up above. So if you've been a guy kind of like me, I haven't been a big Google trader, and I haven't been a big Amazon trader before it split. $1,500, $2,000 options. I just, not to say I've never done them. I haven't traded them a lot, but I've been trading Amazon a lot more since the split with reasonable reasonable prices, good bid-ask spreads, and I expect the same thing in Google. I expect my trading to increase dramatically on Google. Once those prices drop, the volume builds, the bid-ask spreads tighten. So if you haven't been watching Google all along, just because of those option prices, what I would do is, bring Google into your view matrix and then kind of get acquainted with it this week. Kind of let it settle in, get yourself familiar with the price action, and then start using, your charts as you would on an Apple or a Microsoft, other names within the group. Netflix had an awesome day on Friday, up 8%, and I didn't dive down to find out why, but if you had these levels alarmed, you had plenty of chances. There would have been an alarm here at 177, certainly at 182, and then right on up. I think today your pivot point is going to be 190, and you're looking for the top of this gap at 192.50, and then a break above 194 will get this thing going. And I pulled across the 50 EMA on the daily, which is up at 202. And remember, Netflix has earnings tomorrow after the bell, so there may be some elevated activity heading into that print. So don't forget about Netflix. Semis, nice day on Friday, up 2.5%. Came up, we had filled this gap, and we have continued to proceed higher. Really, I think you can be long against 212, but a really key level will be 217. We had resistance back here, spent a lot of hours right at that level before getting rejected. And also back in here, we had resistance and then multiple resistance here and here. So look left for structure. You see that's the top side of this little value range. You get above 217, then I think you can really get some traction to fill this gap and move higher. Now I wanted to show you the daily just to keep things in perspective. You've got the 50 EMA coming in here at 220. That was a level that's marked on the chart, on the 60-minute chart, as being important. Also notice where the top of the downtrend channel comes in as well. And, depending on when it gets there, up in this, let's call it 225 to 230 range, it's going to hit its head on the top side of that down channel, and then that will become a very, very important spot on the chart. Because as you can see, top of the channel, bottom, midpoint, bottom, top, bottom. If this thing comes up to the top and rolls over, in hindsight, you're just going to say, yeah, it's in a well-defined downtrend, and this was simply a move to check back to the top of the channel where it rolled over. The bullish side of that coin is a breakout above this downtrend, and then get back above 240 and the 200, then the bulls would be well on their way at that point. But I still think there's more upside available, even just to get up to the downtrend line. And you can use your 60-minute or your 15-minute, whatever short time frame you may be trading. Up until that point, just realize where that line is, because it won't be clear on the 60-minute chart. Oh, and I wanted to say, don't forget about the CHIPS Act, the semiconductor subsidy plan, 50, 60, 70 billion dollars, whatever it is, to help manufacturers build fabs in the US. There's been a push to get that signed before the August recess. I don't know when that recess actually starts. So I would expect in the next couple of weeks that that bill will get passed, and that may be a boost to the semiconductor sector. And I'm sure if you've been following along with Nancy Pelosi's trades, she's just loaded up on NVIDIA. So you know how Nancy's trades go. If she puts it on, they usually go up. And I'm sure she's got a sense that this CHIP Act will get passed, and NVIDIA will get a bump out of it at the very least. Moving on to ARK FinTech. We dropped down. Now we're back in this congestion range. I think what you want to do here is, if you're interested in it, just have your alarm at 1650. You get a breakout there. You can find 1690 and then a gap to fill up above. Genomics has been relatively strong. nice uptrend. We dropped a little bit below it, but now we're coming back. I think you want to have an alarm at this pivot point at 36.50. I think above that, you can get back in the channel at 38. If you're in IBB and you're in XBI, ARCG is probably just going to be the beta versions of that. So I wouldn't, I don't think you need to have 3 in that group. So, but if you're not in XBI, you're not in IBB, you're not in any healthcare, I think this might be a good one. Didn't do much on Friday, so it underperformed the market. But at any rate, 36.5 is your pivot. ARCK, series of higher lows right here at the pivot at 44. I think above 44, it can go to the top end of value at 45.5. You can see rejections, fake breakout, rejections. So 45.5 is going to be an important level to break out, and then it can make a run at 47 and try to take out this prior high back here and be on its way. ARCW broke below trend, but found nice support at this 49.5 level. Support. A lot of support back here. A lot of support back here as well. So that was a very objective level to try along if you were interested in that one. Today, I think you want to be focused on 52.50 as the pivot and recovery of this uptrend line. Above that, I think you can see 54 and possibly 56 up above. And let's wrap it up with Micron. We have been focused on this, trying to get a breakout above 60. We got that on Friday. Kind of a tricky kind of candle. We opened high, and then we retraced a lot of that in the morning and afternoon session, but then we closed almost back up at the highs for an up 4% day. Now, we didn't capture all of that. I think we're in the July 29th 61, but it was good to see that once we bought that, after a little pullback, it did recover. Now, the thing to watch this week, of course, being in the chip group, the CHIPS Act may help. I don't know if Micron is going to see the boost that an Intel or a NVIDIA might, but I think the group will move as a whole. Keep this 50-day moving average in your sights at 63.33. If it can get above that, then I think we can get up to 66, where the downtrend line would come into play. And if you're in this trade, that would certainly be a place, whether you want to take profits and take it off, or take it off and just wait to see if 66, if price can take that out. If it can get above 66, take out this downtrend line, I think it can find the 200 up here at 72 and change. But I would not just sit here at 66 and do nothing. I would either take it off, roll it up, or if you're a sharpshooter and you think the run is over, that is certainly a place to where you could try an objective short, given all this line of support here. That will be a very, very important resistance point. And even if you got a pullback, you would have a winning trade. So that'll be, a game time decision, and, it will have been a good trade if we get up to that level. So that's, of course, what I'm hoping for. And let's wrap up with ITB. This is the home builder index. And of course, a lot of people been calling for the housing market to just collapse. But when you look at the stock price, it's actually quite constructive. We had the breakdown, and now price has recovered all the fast moving averages, the 8, the 20, and the 50, and has actually broken in to this prior trading range, which started up at 62 and went down to 57. So with the stock at 57.41, if you're willing to take a little bit of heat, remember our technical tenets. Once a stock comes out of the range and then recaptures that range, the target is the top of the box, which in this case would be 62. So that looks like, at least from a technical standpoint, a promising setup and possibly a promising trade, having recovered all the moving averages and price moving back into an old trading range. What I also want to tell you, I am going to put the static charts of the sector spiders into the blog this morning. A lot of nice 5 and 6 week bases and trading ranges are well defined. If the market can keep pushing higher, you're going to see a lot of those sector spiders break out. So if you're one of those people that, number one, likes to play a basket, I think there's possibly some emerging trades there this week. And even if you aren't, if you see, let's say, XLY breaking out, consumer discretionary, then you can drill down into that sector to see which stocks have good setups. So make sure you go to the blog this morning and check out those static charts. And also you'll have the earnings calendar there as well. So let's wrap it up there. If you're new to the channel, thanks for spending some time with me this morning. If you appreciate technical analysis and kind of a way to get your head in the game, pre-market, hit the subscribe button, hit the alarm bell. I will set you up each and every morning with the key locations to focus on during the day, and hopefully some good trade ideas on top of that. Jump over in the show notes. You'll find a link to the blog site where you can register. Drop in your email. It takes 20 seconds. That way, morning, noon, or night, when I have a market observation, trade idea, etc., you'll get that right in your email box and you won't have to hunt for it. So that would be great to have you on the team. And of course, you'll get an invite to our trading room. So let's wrap it up there. Hope you guys have a good day of trading. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Talk to you next time.